Costa Rica, a tropical paradise with a first-class tourist industry, sunny beaches, thick mountain rainforests, abundant flora and fauna in national parks that attract eco-tourists from all over the world. Costa Rica also has a long and fascinating history. This church, for example, in Cartago, was first built in 1635. And that's just talking about the history after the European contact.
When I was growing up in Costa Rica in the 70s, I'd see a lot of these spheres in front of private houses or buildings, government buildings, big companies like this one, and I'd ask people what they were. And people would usually respond with a disinterested, son bolas de indios.
On closer inspection, it was clear that these weren't just ordinary balls. They were solid stone, finely polished, and appeared to be perfectly spherical. The bigger ones were taller than a man and weighed thousands of kilos. But in those days, no one was very interested. The local Costa Ricans didn't consider themselves descendants of the people who made the spheres in the first place. One of the legacies of the caste system imposed by the Spanish conquerors is that even today, to be of indigenous descent is not something most people are proud of. Modern Costa Ricans are proud to be considered relatively European in comparison to other Central American populations. So the spheres were a mere curiosity, generally used as lawn ornaments. My history books at the time told us that Columbus found a land sparsely populated by about 27,000 simple Stone Age Indians, whose technical expertise was limited to making stone axe heads. They certainly weren't capable of building these spheres. Over recent years, pseudoscientists discovered the spheres. They came up with these wacky theories that they must have been built by space aliens as navigational beacons to Stonehenge or Easter Island. So if the Indians hadn't built them, and one wasn't prone to accept supernatural theories about space aliens or lost tribes of Israel, the logical explanation was that they were formed by some natural geological process. Stone balls can be produced by natural forces, but just looking closely at these spheres, anyone can see that they're man-made. For one thing, naturally made spheres don't have picking and polishing marks. Looking closely at different spheres, you can see how different artisans use slightly different tools and techniques to make them. These majestic spheres were found together in situ by an archaeologist who documented them forming part of a geometric pattern. Compare the finish on these two spheres. One shows slightly more aggressive picking action than the other. So they were made by pre-Columbian Indians, but how could that be? Such a small population simply couldn't afford to have all of the various specialists needed to produce many of these labor-intensive discretionary items. 27,000 Indian population number most likely came from a census ordered by the conquistador Perafán de Rivera in 1569. He was under pressure to come up with an accurate figure so that the Indians could be proportionately allocated among the Spanish immigrants. It would seem he had no vested interest in veering from the truth one way or the other. While 1569 census may have been reasonably accurate, the experts have drastically increased the estimates of Costa Rica's original native population on contact. A population of 1 million is academically defensible. A conservative estimate of 600,000 is a figure that few professional archaeologists would reject as too large. It's sobering to realize that in 3 generations, the population of Costa Rica may have been reduced by 95%. It would take over 400 years, well into the 20th century, for Costa Rica to recover the population it had in 1492. Skeptics may be thinking, well, maybe so. But if there were so many Indians, why aren't there pyramids like the grand monuments left by the Maya in the Yucatan? Well, the Costa Ricans built mostly out of wood, a material that doesn't last long in the rainforest. The Maya built their monuments mostly with a fine-grained limestone found all over the Yucatan.
This is the kind of limestone you find in Costa Rica. It's not like what you find in the Yucatan, which has a very fine grain and is suitable for making solid blocks. This falls to pieces. It's very fragile. Look. full of shells, pretty much useless for building material.
Further evidence of a large population is the vast network of roads. The Spanish made many references to the Caminos de Indios. These aren't paths beaten through the jungle, but well-engineered cobble roads, 4 or 5 meters wide and up to a meter deep. This one goes straight as an arrow, down the hill for at least 10 kilometers. The overwhelming proof of a large pre-Columbian population is the huge quantities of exquisite jade, ceramic, and gold artifacts that filled so many museum exhibits and private collections. In the middle of the 16th century, King Charles I of Spain specifically instructed the conquistadors to plunder the graveyards for gold. Those conquistadors were only interested in gold, and while there was plenty of gold still left to be panned from the rivers, it was much easier to take the gold straight from the Indians. The conquistadors saw no aesthetic value in the ceramic artifacts. Indeed, they thought they were profane and smashed them into pieces. 400 years of looting, destruction of ceramics, and melting down of gold artifacts occurred before an American, Minor C. Keith, put in a railway from the east coast to the Central Valley. In just the width necessary to lay the track, all sorts of pre-Columbian artifacts were unearthed. Luckily, Mr. Keith found them interesting and began to collect the best pieces. This one collector amassed over 17,000 gold and ceramic artifacts at the beginning of the 20th century. And these were only the best pieces. And there are many more collections, most of them outside of Costa Rica. After all the centuries of destruction, today there are over 100,000 pieces of Costa Rican pre-Columbian collections all around the world. You'd think the Indians from all over Costa Rica made the spheres because today you can spot them all over the country. This one, in Limon, is right about where Columbus's men would have come ashore after anchoring at what is now called Isla Ubita. But it's pretty much impossible that Columbus or his men would have seen a petrosphere. This sphere was brought here relatively recently from the southeast of Costa Rica called the Diqui. Most of the spheres, you see, have been torn from the archaeological context within the last 60 years and moved long distances. Almost all the spheres are made from rocks found in the Diqui area, granodiorite, gabbro, and a dozen or so from Diqui limestone. The spheres lay forgotten for 400 years until, in the 1940s, the United Fruit Company began to convert vast areas of tropical jungle on the southwest coast into homogeneous banana plantations. When clearing the land and digging ditches, the steam shovels found their work hampered by strange stone spheres. Some were destroyed, others buried, and some were simply shoved aside. Luckily, an amateur archaeologist was the daughter of a banana company executive. Doris Stone recognized the enormous archaeological and cultural value of these spheres and enlisted the help of a professional archaeologist, Samuel Lothrop.